The Auditor-General provides assurance to Parliament on the accountability and performance of the Victorian public sector. The Auditor-General conducts financial audits and performance audits and reports on the results of these audits to Parliament. On the 11th of June 2014, the Auditor-General tabled his performance audit report, Prisoner Transportation. There were almost 6,000 prisoners in Victorian correctional facilities in February 2014, and numbers have continued to increase. Prisoners are moved for a range of reasons. Prisoners move between police cells to free up space for other prisoners. They are moved from police cells to court and then either back to police cells or into prison. Prisoners move between prisons because of changes to their risk profile or for medical or welfare appointments. They also move to balance numbers between prisons. Prisoners may be moved from a corrections facility to attend court or for medical reasons. Prisoners are moved by police, Corrections Victoria, prisons, the Department of Human Services, ambulance, and a prisoner transport contractor. Most prisoners, after their initial arrest, are moved by a prisoner transport contractor. In doing this audit, our objective was to examine whether the transportation of prisoners in the criminal justice system is effective, efficient, and economical. To meet this objective, we first looked at whether prisoner transportation services are being provided when and where required. For example, are prisoners being delivered to court on time? We also looked at whether prisoners receive appropriate care while in the custody of the contractor. For example, are prisoners appropriately separated to reduce safety and welfare risks? We also examined whether transportation costs are assessed, monitored and minimised. For example, we looked at whether the full costs of prisoner transportation are known rather than merely the costs associated with the outsourced arrangement. We also considered whether contractual arrangements provide flexibility to match demand and incentives to minimise costs. For example, we looked at the performance regime used for the contractor and whether this promoted efficiency. We examined whether transportation delays and issues are identified, reviewed and addressed. For example, we looked at whether there were appropriate performance and incident reporting mechanisms in place. We also assessed whether there is an appropriate performance framework to support delivery outcomes and mitigate risks. For example, we looked at how prisoner transport performance was captured and disseminated. Our audit included the Department of Justice, Victoria Police, and the Department of Human Services. On the basis of the evidence collected, we concluded that there is no overarching and coordinated oversight of prisoner transportation. Inadequate data is collected on the total number of prisoner movements and cost of transportation, and the effectiveness and efficiency of prisoner transportation is affected by prisoner capacity constraints. We found that there is no coordinated or overarching oversight of the prisoner transportation system. Without this, Corrections Victoria and Victoria Police do not know whether they are providing the most effective and efficient prisoner transportation, and they are unable to appropriately respond to the external influences on prisoner transportation. We also found that there is a lack of interconnectedness between the police and corrections information systems. This reduces the prisoner data available to each agency, including individual risk assessments. For example, if a corrections prisoner is reassessed while in police custody, which could occur if a prisoner had an altercation with another prisoner while in a police cell waiting to attend court, this information will not be automatically provided to corrections or the transport contractor. Although there is adequate data on the costs of transporting prisoners by the contractor, Victoria Police does not have similar data. Victoria Police does not collect specific data on the proportion of time spent by police officers transporting prisoners. This makes it difficult for either Corrections Victoria or Victoria Police to determine the efficiency or value for money of current arrangements. Through the audit, we found that prisoners are not always delivered when or where required. Between September and December 2013, 824 movements to court were cancelled because of inadequate police cell capacity. We also found that performance-linked payments made to the contractor do not promote ongoing efficiency and effectiveness. The model focuses on the achievement of minimum performance standards rather than creating an incentive for the contractor to deliver above minimum performance. Around 50% of prisoner movements undertaken by the contractor are scheduled manually. This creates additional workload for the contractor and Victoria Police. Manual scheduling can ultimately reduce the efficiency, accountability and effectiveness of transportation. It can create delays in the transportation process, increase the risk that routes are not scheduled in the most efficient manner, and can increase the risk that prisoners are not appropriately separated. Prisoners are separated during transportation for their safety and well-being. Although some prisoners are able to travel together, others may need to be separated from specific prisoners or may be required to travel alone in a compartment. Failing to appropriately separate prisoners can result in injury and even death. We found that the prisoner transportation contractor has failed to adequately separate prisoners 21 times since 2009, despite there being zero tolerance for this event under the contract. While these numbers are relatively low when the total number of movements over that period is considered, the materiality of the risk is very high, given the seriousness of its potential outcomes. The solutions to more effective transportation requires coordination across the justice system. We noted some positive initiatives that would improve the efficiency and effectiveness of prisoner transportation. Corrections Victoria established a dedicated frontline vacancy management and court flow unit in November 2013. This was designed to ensure a greater degree of collaboration and coordination between Victoria Police and Corrections Victoria by managing the flow of prisoners between prisons, police cells and courts. Corrections Victoria have been working collaboratively with the Magistrates Court to ensure that tally court facilities are being used wherever possible to reduce unnecessary prisoner movements. Corrections Victoria and Victoria Police are also looking to change the payment model used for the new prisoner transport contract to one that more accurately reflects the cost drivers associated with the movement of prisoners. We made 5 recommendations aimed at improving decision-making and oversight of prisoner transportation and enhancing service delivery outcomes. The first 2, listed on this slide, are directed to both Corrections Victoria and Victoria Police. And 3 recommendations were directed to Corrections Victoria. Each of the findings and recommendations have been accepted by Corrections Victoria and Victoria Police. Other relevant audits include Prevention and Management of Drug Use in Prisons, tabled in October 2013, Prison Capacity Planning, tabled in November 2012, and Management of Prison Accommodation using Public-Private Partnerships, tabled in September 2010. All our reports are available on our website. If you have any questions about this or other reports, Or if you have anything else you would like to discuss with us, including ideas for future audit topics, please call us on 03 8601 7000 or contact us via our website.